Okay, we are back again out in the hot Texas sun with the fully stripped top to the Air O Gas 126 cabin stove. What you're seeing on here is the result of being treated with OSFO. So this is a phosphate or phosphoric acid that converts rust or anything else like that into iron phosphate, which is black, and it's also inert, and it will prevent any rust from forming. What they say after doing this, you'll get some white residue as a result in some areas, and it got put on probably a little heavier than it needed to, and so I'm going to go over this. What they say to use is a solvent. And solvent, in this case, we're going to use this 1K heater fuel. Now, this is actually Stoddard solvent, so it's not really kerosene, even though it says it's kerosene. You can look up the MSDS on it, and you'll see that its primary component is Stoddard solvent, making its flash point quite a bit higher than conventional kerosene. It also smells a whole lot different than regular kerosene, too. So what I'm going to recommend you not do is use this in wick lanterns. It's fine to use it in heaters, but you can end up with a runaway in some of these Aladdin wick type lanterns, or whatever. So I'm going to do this to hopefully get some of this residue off of here. This is the preferred method of getting it off. And if that doesn't work, which it honestly doesn't seem to be working, because there's still quite a bit of residue on the surface here because I put too much on it, which means that I may have to kind of go after this maybe with some water, because it is a surfactant, and it is soluble in water, and I don't want to have any rougher of a finish on here than I need to. And this is cleaning it off, but it still has quite a bit of residue on here. So we're going to go ahead and probably cut this here real quick, and then see what we can do to get this off without damaging the coating that we put on. Okay, show you real quick what I'm doing here is at the tail end of it, I've got a little bit of water here that I'm putting on here because, like I said, it's water soluble, and I'm kind of grinding off. You can hear all these high spots here. Here it's not bad, but on some of these spots like this, it's a little bit rough. Like here's quite a bit of buildup. And yeah, I know I'm using water, and yeah, I know I'm going to paint, but as you can see, the sun is really helping us out here, because this side was done and it is powder dry right now, and literally powder dry because it's so hot. So it doesn't take any time at all to dry up. So I'm just kind of going over this with bronze wool in this case. Figured I didn't want to add any extra rust if I don't need to with steel wool. And so there's that. And then as this dries off, I'm coming back with this more in the sun. But you can see, you can watch it just dry in front of your eyes. It's that hot out here. But come back with some more of the Stoddard solvent, clean it up, and then next we'll be ready for paint again. Okay, so as you can see here, we've knocked off the high spots, cleaned it up with the Stoddard solvent / kerosene, wiped it all down. Everything looks about as good as it's probably going to get. So there's, a certain amount of pitting and surface imperfections that we just can't do anything about. So just kind of, that's going to be how it is. But with the application of the OSFO on there, they will be stable and they won't do anything. They won't rust or whatever. So really what we're going to do here is probably going to move this down so I don't paint any more of my table than I need to. Do this. But what we've got here is, looks like someone's, maybe I had a little bit of leak when they assembled. Anyway, so Krylon high heat max up to 1200 degrees, and that's great. This is really not the way to shake a can. You really want to do this, which swirls the ball around the bottom, which is what moves, gets everything spinning inside, and this is really the proper way to agitated. I know that everyone else, they're rattle cans, so you rattle them around. Well, yeah, this is how you do it. Anyway, so with that, we're going to do light coats. When I'm done, it's probably not going to look like I've done enough, and that's fine because we'll come back and we'll do more. So, as they always say, many light coats are better than one heavy coat. And so we're just beginning this side here. This is also pretty cool because you can rotate the spray pattern on this one. I've set this in what I believe to be a fan. Nope, it's got to be this way because that's the way I want it. There we go, like that. So we'll just get started. And my technique isn't the best, so I'm sure you can let me know about it in the comments. Yep, that was bad. Don't want to start in the middle of the work. Honestly, this is almost drying the instant that I put it down here. Get this side. So as we see here, we're going to have some of this rust scarring show up, and that's okay. We knew that was going to happen anyway. But really, this is pretty much all you want to do for your first coat. You're not going to cover everything completely. I may have put down a little more than I really needed to. I'm going to catch these edges here. So so we're going to let this sit in the sun for a moment here. It'll dry. We'll do much the same on the other side, and we'll just keep going until we have a good coat, and we'll move on to the next phase. Okay, I think this side here is about done. I've got 3 coats on there, and it looks pretty good. I mean, obviously, we're going to see some of that stuff for the rust ate away at the metal, and electrolysis can get rid of the rust, but you're still going to have where the metal's missing, right? So not much you can do about that. Some areas here, it looks like I probably could have gone a little bit longer, but that's where OSPO comes in and saves my butt because that will chemically convert that to iron phosphate and it won't turn back into rust. So that's great. So we're going to just kind of flip this over and do this side. Now I've done the edges here several times, and we'll get them again here because I'll need to get the top corners of it too, and getting the edges a couple more shots probably doesn't matter because those things will be catching probably the most abuse. All right, so let's get her done. Oh, and my technique may improve. I don't know. I guess you be the judge. To catch all these stands for the grate. This can's really getting hot out here. It's 102 out here right now. I've tried to keep it out of the sun, but it's still kind of behaving kind of weird. And so you can see it's not giving me a real consistent spray because the pressure on it, I think the can's just a little overpressured right now. Itch these edges. And we're starting to see what it's going to kind of look like. We're going to see this modeling and patina in there. I didn't work too hard at removing that. I knew I couldn't do anything about it because, like in here, you can see this is just flat missing metal. So there's not much you can do, right? So why try to make it perfect when you just can bring it down to where it's not going to, well, basically, we're in the process of conservation. We're stabilizing it, right? So we've taken all the rust, we converted any sort of hidden stuff into iron phosphate, and we're painting it, and then it'll be good. So that's pretty much all we're going to do for this. I'm not going to bore with you putting another 3 or 4 coats on here, but that's pretty much the idea of how to paint. And I don't know if you were noticing when I was painting, but I always start painting here all the way across and then release the button over here. You don't want to like start right here because then you get blobs. You want to have the sprayer going and then keep it going till you've passed your item, and essentially do that. I'm probably spraying a little bit too close. I think you're supposed to be more 12 inches away or something like that, but I guess old habits died hard. But anyway, that is it. We'll keep going until this looks as black as it can get, and then we'll get on to derusting the rest of the parts. And then hopefully the next time you see this, we'll be working on reassembly. Until next time, keep them lit.